The young musician is now presenting the national tour of his second studio album that is titled Life and Death on the Other Side of the Dream. The tour will feature 5 performances here in Johannesburg, and it will feature Vuma himself and various other musicians from around South Africa and abroad. Vuma has performed with some of the top musicians in South Africa and abroad, including Feya Faku, Herbie Tsoeli, Nduduzo Makhatini, and many, many more. He joins us now in our studios here in Johannesburg to tell us more about his latest album and, of course, his tour. Good morning to you, and thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you so much. Now, how have things been ever since your first album, before we get into the second one?
They've been going pretty well. I've spent the last 8 years living in the Netherlands, so I've just come home recently. And I did my first album, and we did an extensive album launch tour with the headline gig at the Grahamstown Jazz Festival.
All right.
So then I went back to the Netherlands, and after winning a couple of competitions with my Dutch-based quintet, we decided to record this second album.
All right, so things have been quite good for you that side.
Yeah, things have been going very well that side.
But what are you learning if you were to compare their music that side and that of us here at home?
Well, I think that there's a lot of similarities and there's also a lot of differences. I think that there's definitely an emphasis in the Netherlands on complete mastery of your instrument as well as technique. Whereas South Africa, I believe we have incredibly conceptually strong music because of our very unique story. So I would say that broadly speaking, that's how I would contrast the two things.
The two.
Yeah.
All right. Now tell us more about your album, Vuma, Life and Death on the Other Side of the Dream.
Yeah. So basically the album, as I said, it was recorded after we won a series of competitions in the Netherlands, and we got a €3,000 grant from the Dutch government to record the album. We went to a beautiful studio in the countryside in Germany. Myself and my European quintet, who the individual members are all award winners in their own right. And we recorded the album, and we collaborated with the South African artist, Mr. Fuzzy Slippers, aka Lisolomzi Pikoli, and he did the album artwork. And yeah, it's just a great privilege to be able to bring it this side and to tour with it. And
I hear you emphasizing on the beautiful studio that you went to that other side. So if you were to compare their technology that side and that of us here, does it really differ?
No, not really.
Not
I
really,
mean, I think there's a certain mythology around us being not technologically. We have good studios in this country, but I just mean the location was really, really incredible. It's really in the countryside, in the hills of Germany. So yeah, it was a really, really beautiful location. All right.
Now, your tour will include 5 performances here in Johannesburg starting this coming weekend. Talk to us about all the other places where you'll be performing.
Well, as you pointed out, we'll be performing at 5 venues in Johannesburg. Those include the African Freedom Station on Thursday the 4th, Sophia Town The Mix on Friday the 5th, the Wits Music Room on Saturday the 6th, and the Arbor Cafe on Sunday the 7th, and then we're coming back to do the Orbit on the 23rd. And we're also going to be going to a couple of venues in Cape Town and Durban, and then I'm going to be going to Europe to tour the album in the Netherlands, Germany and Italy. So it's quite an exciting period of touring that we have up ahead.
Yeah, but the reception here at home, how are people receiving you?
Well, the first album did very, very well. It sort of interfaced with contemporary cultural theory and music, and this album is a continuation of those themes. I haven't really released it as of yet. I'm talking to a couple of record labels about trying to release it. So this is a whole album launch release tour, and so far the response has been very, very positive, so we're quite motivated.
I am sitting here and looking at you and thinking, oh, Vuma Sasemngani, you look very young, and we know that jazz is mainly for the older younger people. What drew you into this genre specifically?
Well, I think that first of all, there's a lot of young jazz musicians in Johannesburg right now, and a lot of really, really good young jazz musicians. So that's the first thing. I would say most people at the forefront of the Johannesburg jazz scene right now are very young, below the age of 30. And what drew me to the music particularly, I actually originally started out as a rock musician and a rock singer in particular.
And then you changed.
Only later on I sort of developed an affinity and an ear for the music. When I was in my early 20s, late teens, 19, 20, around there, I realized the beauty of this music, and I decided to pursue it from there.
So this album, is it out? Is it available?
It is indeed available. We are releasing it on iTunes, Spotify, all of those mediums. It should be out this week, but the physical copy is available. Please follow me on Facebook at Vuma Levin, Twitter Vuma Levin, Instagram at Vuma Levin, and you can ask me about how to get a physical copy.
All right. Vuma, thank you so much for coming through. I know that you'll mesmerize us later on here on the show.
Great.
Thank
Thanks
you so
a lot.
much. All right, that was Vuma Levin talking to us about his latest second studio album, Life and Death on the Other Side of the Dream. As he said, it is out. If you want, you can get yourself a copy of these beautiful sounds. He will be performing for us here later on the show, but let's take a break. When we come back, we're off to Durban for the World Economic Forum.